Happy New Year to you. Thank you so much for joining us right here on Music Marvels with Achickwitbeatz and Breezy Gipson. We're so excited to have you with us today. We have a great show lined up as usual. We have joining us all the way from Houston, Texas, Quise the Notebook. And so we're really excited about that, right?
Oh, yeah. You know what I mean? That's large. Like you're saying, setting it off on the 2021. Oh, man, where did 2020 go? That's the question. Okay. So we got our shovels and brooms out because we're sweeping away and shoveling away all of that mess from 2020. And we're taking a big step into 2021, right?
Yes, indeed. So we're going full force ahead.
Full force.
Yep. And once again, we thank you for joining the ride with us. And yeah, we look forward to all the goodness that 2021 will bring.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely, positively.
All right, we're going to dip into some beats by yours truly before we get to the interview with Quise the Notebook. Keep it locked. Thank you for tuning in to Music Marvels with Achickwitbeatz and Breezy Gipson. I'm so excited to let you know that we have right here in the virtual building with us, Quise the Notebook. How are you feeling?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Great. Very excited to have you with us today. And if you could just give a little bit of background to our listeners. Who is Quise the Notebook? How long have you been writing? You know, what kind of drove your initial passion for it? And, just a little bit of background for everyone.
Okay, cool. First of all, thank you for having me.
Okay.
Quise the Notebook, Quise Williams from Houston, Texas. Actually, I've only been performing for the last 8 or 9 years or so. And it wasn't because that I had a passion for it. Poetry, spoken word, literally found me when I wasn't looking for it.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually was good at it. So they tell me. And it just took off from there.
Well, that's really awesome. I know that I've had the pleasure of, hearing you recite via radio shows over the years, and it's just phenomenal. And you can always tell that there's a passion for it. So it's kind of interesting to hear you say that it found you, because your work actually feels that way when you hear it. So that's phenomenal. So what would you say is one of the most important things that you've learned since you started performing?
What I've learned is that what you write is not for you. It's for somebody to be able to identify with what you're saying or what you're going through, for them to gain strength and feel better about themselves.
Man, that's really impactful. A lot of ways music can be the same thing. So, whenever you feel inspired to do it, and, people draw from that. And it's also a comfort in knowing that there's somebody else out there that's been dealing with some of the same stuff that you have. And then for them to either put it in poetry or, to song, it's just nice to be able to have something for you to be able to kind of grab onto and not feel so alone in whatever situation it is that you're dealing with.
Absolutely, because music was actually my first love. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But it turns out that fate had another way for me to go. But in some ways, do the same thing lyrically.
Mm-hmm.
But with a spin on it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you say music was your first love. Can you give us a little information about how you used to dabble in that before kind of focusing on poetry?
Well, actually, it was not as pretty much just listening to all kinds of music, but I'm actually a percussionist as well. So playing drums and whatever other percussion instrument in high school and college.
Okay.
After that, I thought that I would have had some kind of career in music, but again, the world changed my avenues.
Yeah, but that's interesting though. So percussion, rhythm, and rhythm is such a key part of poetry. So
right.
How would you say that your background has helped you in writing and performing?
Cadence-wise, the rhythm in your cadence as you speak, because there's so many different cadences and rhythms and ways that you can come across with your words. That percussion helps you understand that and helps you with your delivery and flow, and that makes it so much easier to do.
Yeah, I bet that's got to be a huge advantage, a huge leg up.
Absolutely.
Awesome. And so, you've been working at this for a while. Is there any way that you can give us a little insight into what you might have coming up in the future?
Yeah. Well, nobody knows this. Nobody knows this. But I've actually been working on my first project for quite some time now. It's coming together. It's not all the way together yet, but it's coming together. I'd say maybe the second quarter by midsummer. I should be dropping something.
Ooh, that is exciting. Hey, world, we got the exclusive right here.
Absolutely.
On Music Marvels. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. That'll be something to look forward to. See, I'm already excited about 2021. Now you just gave us another reason that it'll be brighter. Awesome. So, especially since you had already mentioned that, you listen to music and it had a huge, impact on you. Who are some of your top influences for your personal style, or, just some of the things that you listen to get inspired to write?
Personally, me writing, I listen to a lot of R&B. Like a lot of R&B. Jasmine Sullivan. I love her. Her voice is unlike any others. I listen to a lot of poetry. There's not a lot. It's certain similar people that I tend to listen to a lot. Hip hop wise, give me some Busta all day. I can listen to Busta. Give me Kendrick, because he's different. He's different. That's when those different cadences come in. Yeah. Kendrick. Give me Rhapsody. She gives me something to think about. And D Smoke. D Smoke is the new gunner. He's an incredible cat. He'll do something great.
Awesome.
So yeah, I like mainstream and underground, so it doesn't cloud your judgment of other people.
Ooh, that's heavy right there. That needs to be underlined.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because mainstream does get a bad rap, no pun intended, quite often. And there are a lot of people in the mainstream that you could still kind of pull inspiration from. So that's really important. Yeah. I'm so glad you said that. Yes. So yeah, I'm really fascinated by the people you named and the way that they tie in with poetry and the expression, like you said, the different cadences. And I mean, Busta is like the epitome of a poet when you really look at it. Because I mean, there's beat going on in the background, but yeah, he can switch it up. And it's not just gobbledygook over the beat, like actually saying something. And yeah, he makes it entertaining to listen to. So that's really, really cool. Thank you so much for sharing your inspiration.
Absolutely.
And so now's about the point where I like to ask if there is any advice that you have for any up and coming poets right now, maybe somebody that, starting to dig into it a little bit more. They're looking at doing, more projects, writing more. Is there any advice that you can offer them with all the years that you've had in the game so far?
Oh, absolutely. First of all, do not get discouraged on how many likes you get or don't get from these other poets and other people, because people are really fickle about that. That they'll turn it into a popularity contest. Secondly, practice. Practice. Do not don't try to perform a piece you just wrote earlier today or yesterday or the day before. Know that you know your piece before you're trying to perform it. Because it's gonna come across choppy and you may forget and this and that, and so hone your craft. You know what I mean? Like, hone your craft to the point where you know that you know this. I mean, every once in a while you may forget, because it's happened to me, but hone your craft to the point where you know that you know your craft and nobody can tell you any different. Write with your heart and write without thinking. Meaning, if you can't think, don't think and write, because it's not going to come out right. Let the poem write itself, basically. Whenever you're inspired and something hits you, then you pick up your pen. Not just to pick it up, just to, I want to write this today. No, it's not going to work. Let the poem write itself, and it'll come out much better.
That's excellent advice. You're right. You can't force your pen, like, because the poem will definitely tell on you if you do.
Right.
Man, that's excellent. Grade A advice. Giving master classes right here on Marvel's. And I also really appreciate what you said about practice, because just like you mentioned, you always run the risk of potentially forgetting. So why even make it even harder on yourself by not preparing? Yeah.
I used to do that. I used to think I was so good and so tough and so bad that I could do this without even hesitation, and go in and screw up the whole thing. But I learned my lessons as well.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how that type of stuff can teach you really, really quickly.
Right.
Yeah, I've had that happen before too. It's like, oh no. Yeah, almost wish you could kind of freeze frame it, jump back in.
Right.
Yeah. But those were great words of advice. A lot of that applies to young musicians, lyricists, rappers, whatever you do, songwriters. Same applies. And so that's one thing that I think a lot of people don't really realize, is that it's all part of the same world. And as creatives, it's the same modes of discipline that are needed in order to become successful in your career.
Absolutely. And another thing is, don't look at somebody else's failures, nor look at their successes as yourself. Don't compare yourself to anybody else.
Yeah, that's
that'll do nothing but bring you down.
Right. Yeah, and you had mentioned before about how some people use things as a popularity contest, and whether you don't get all the likes or whatever. And that's one thing that say I'll underline that again, because just because people aren't liking things, like physically clicking that button, doesn't mean that they're not noticing, and it doesn't mean that they don't like it. For one reason or another, they just don't want other people to know, including you, that they do. But so that's really, really great words of wisdom to not let that discourage you or get you down, because believe me, people are noticing. Whether they let you know it or not, they're noticing.
Absolutely.
Yes. And so before we get ready to close out, could you please let everyone know where they can find you on social media to keep up with what you've got coming up? And
absolutely. I'm Quise Williams, Quise Williams on Facebook. Quise the Notebook on Instagram, and that's pretty much it. That's where I'll be most of the time, clowning around. If ever there's something going on or something I'm dropping or happening, that's where you can find it. Be right there.
Excellent. So make sure that you take that down. Make sure you follow and friend, so that way you can stay up with everything that he's got going on. And, really quick before we close out, if there are any shout outs that you'd like to give at this time, feel free to do so.
I'd like to give a shout out to all the creatives everywhere, because this is not something easy to do for ourselves or the sake of other people. So yeah, we have the courage to do it, and we do it. So shout out to us.
I absolutely love it. And I want to thank you so much for coming on and sharing your time, your story, your wisdom and knowledge with us. We really appreciate it. And we hope that we can have you back to do it again sometime soon.
Thank you for having me. And whenever you want me back, just let me know and I'll come back doing it.
Awesome. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Peace.
Peace. Oh, man, I really, really, really enjoyed having Quise on. I appreciated his wisdom and his story about poetry and like the relationship to music and everything. I mean, it's just, this is a great time. I really enjoyed that.
Just to hear that, just to hear the vibe, hear the flow, it's energizing, but it's settling in a certain way, so for those who might have a twinge of unsettlement, he just got you settled back down with his delivery. Sure did.
Yes, indeed. All right, we're going to go ahead and get back to some more music, and we'll be back with music news right after this. All right, and we are back. One of the big stories that broke recently was that there's a loophole in Spotify podcasts that DJs and remixers and whatnot have been using to, I guess, broadcast their bootleg versions of songs and unreleased versions of songs. So instead of actually being a podcast, they put the individual tracks out as episodes. And so they found a little way to be kind of sneaky instead of going through the normal Spotify channels. So apparently it's really easy to find if you just type in remix or mashup, some of those main key terms. And there's bootleg versions out there just getting the people who put it up paid.
All kind of things happen.
Yes, indeed. So we'll see what happens and how that pans out. Because if the artist isn't actually credited the proper way, like they would where music is stored on Spotify, then that's money that the artist is missing out on. So that won't that won't last very long. But yeah, we'll see what Spotify does to come up with closing that loophole so things like this don't happen in the future.
How about it?
All right, and we'll be back right after this with more music news. And we're back. Another story that made headlines is congratulations to Cardi B for settling a $30 million settlement with her old manager. So apparently this has been going on since 2018, April 2018. And so they finally reached an agreement for money that her manager was owed. And so if that was a settlement, I can't help but wonder exactly how much money was supposed to go to her former manager, but at least that's all squared away now. So, it seems like for the last 3 or 4 episodes in a row, we've been talking about artists' relationship with managers and managers not feeling like they've received what they've been owed. So, again, contracts, honor your contracts, honor your commitments, get somebody to check it out, have a legal team, do whatever, but try to avoid these types of situations if you can. You're seeing these big stars going through it. You're not immune either.
That's right.
All right, we're going to get back to some more music before we close out for the night.
Yep.
All right, and it is that time of the night. Once again, we thank you so much for rocking with us. We're excited to have you here with us in 2021. And, we just got more big things coming, right?
I mean, I'm excited, man, aren't you? I mean, that's like, hey, we got to ride this horse, man. We've got to make amends. We've got to make plans. We got to shake some hands, and so don't just sit back thinking it's just going to happen. You got to make it happen. Put your all into it and make some things come to fruition in this year.
That's right. Love the sentiment. Yes. So, all right, make sure that you come back next week, same time, same place. Tune in, tell a friend, and we'll see you then. Peace.
Yep. Peace.